Hello, everyone. It is Tate here. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy and welcome back to the David Fincher Retrospective. Today, I am going to be talking about The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Sadly, George couldn't join us on this one. We have a very busy schedule coming up. So please, please be patient with us as a channel. We have a lot of videos that are coming out. This is already my second recording today. And we've got a lot of stuff going on with the film festival coming out. So we're going to try as hard as possible to get through as many videos as possible in a short amount of time. We're back onto the Fincher Retrospective. We're back onto another film. And this one's really interesting. This is, of course, or even curious, dare I say. This one is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Now, before we go into things, please go and follow us on all of our various different socials. So there's a link tree thing down in the description. So it'll link you to our Facebook, our Twitter, or X, whatever you call it nowadays, to our Instagram account, and also to our Letterboxd account where you can pick up various different bits of merch. And on top of that, please go and, put in the comments, have you seen this film? We want to start a discussion with all of David Fincher's films, which is why we're doing this retrospective now. We're over halfway, or almost half. I think we're over halfway now through retrospective. We're going through his, what I like to call his Oscar period. A lot of dramas and a lot of films that get nominated for various different things, or at least get large critical acclaim across the board. So please go and chat with us down in the comments. Tell us your thoughts on this film. Now, I got to go through some various different things, including the IMDb plot synopsis for this film. This film came out in 2008. It came straight off the back of Zodiac, which I was really surprised to kind of see when we first looked at the retrospective and kind of went, okay, when is David Fincher's thing going to come in? And yeah, it's quite quite close to the filming of Zodiac. But anyway, the IMDb plot synopsis is normally, it kind of gives you an idea of the story. This one does not, and there's so many things they could have put in here, so I'll just read it out now. This film tells the story of Benjamin Button, a man who starts aging backwards with consequences. That might be the biggest understatement of a plot synopsis I have ever heard. I'm going to actually read it out for a second time because it's that short. Tells the story of Benjamin Button, a man who starts aging backwards with consequences. So what I'm taking from that is, that first part there tells the story of Benjamin Button. Fine, you've got the title character, who starts aging backwards. That's fine. The with consequences part is like 90% of the film. That's a massive thing to try and encompass there. It's absolutely crazy. And, I know IMDb isn't like kind of the thing that everyone needs to go to when they find out about films and stuff like that. But that doesn't tell you anything. This film is, over 2 hours long. It's so much more than with consequences as a thing. And I guess that leads me into where I was at the first time I watched this film. I remember, I think it was a 2008. It was one where I started to pay attention to film. I remember advertising for this film. I remember a lot of people talking about it. I don't think I ever recognized that it was a Fincher film. I think it was a lot later that I recognized, oh, Benjamin Button was Fincher. Okay, that makes so much sense now. But it's really interesting. The first time I watched this film, I did not like it. I really didn't like this film. It was at a time where I wasn't really into kind of films that I categorize as Oscar bait, or films that are kind of heavy dramas that are going for the awards and they know they're going for the awards. It wasn't kind of the kind of film that I liked back then. I liked Iron Man. I liked films that, were bang, bang action and, past that, like I wasn't into kind of the finer arts of cinema and understanding cinematography and everything like that. It was a different time, okay? It was my first viewing. I didn't like it. I thought it was too long. I hated the CGI. I thought the story was just meandering and I didn't understand the characters. I didn't understand the story too much. It just felt like a man who just kind of went through various different adventures and it just kind of got kind of more and more kind of exaggerated. And, it never captured me. It never got me. And I'll be perfectly honest, I was not looking forward to this. I've already made comments on the channel during this retrospective where I've said I'm not really looking forward to Benjamin Button. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. And I put it on and I initially thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll throw it on. I've got a projector here in my room. Hence, this is a bit of lore here for the channel. That wall is white back there because there is a projector kind of over here somewhere, so I can watch movies. And I thought, you know what, I'll throw on the projector, but I'll see how long it takes for me to be distracted by something. Like, oh, I'll go and get snacks and I'll just miss, like, I won't miss a chunk of the film, but I'll pause the film and wander off and stuff like that. I got about 10 minutes in, and I knew 10 minutes in that I wasn't going to move from my seat. I knew that I was engaged with this film. And I don't know if it's because I have a better understanding of cinema now. I have a better understanding of film, and I look at films a bit more analytically than I used to, or whether my emotions have matured and I understand the film a bit more from the romantic perspective, or if I just appreciate the film for what it is a bit more. And because we've gone through this retrospective and because we've seen the journey that Fincher's been on, I start to understand a little bit more what he's trying to get across here with this film and how he's conveying those thoughts. I really liked this film. I like this film so much that it has completely blown into perspective where I'm going to rank it. And I still don't have any idea. It's one of those where, I mean, I need to rewatch Gone Girl. I've seen The Social Network again, so I know exactly where that ranking's going. But I have not seen Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. There's still more films to come. And after seeing this film, I was left there thinking, oh God, where do I put this? Because I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And I would love to see it again very soon. It's a film that seems to have captured me, and I'm not quite sure how to put my finger on it. And I wonder if over the course of this review, over the course of this kind of solo talking to the camera of Benjamin Buttonness, whether I will come to a conclusion about it. But those were my initial thoughts on the film. So it completely blew me by surprise. And I will add to this as well. George, who wasn't able to make it today, his comments and thoughts on the film was that initially he wasn't sure, but going into the film, he loved it. He really enjoyed it. And I feel like he's possibly gone on a similar journey. And maybe this is a film that you have to age with the film a little bit, and it will get better over time. But we'll talk about various different things that maybe get better over time, maybe don't get better over time as we go into this section, the production of the film, the behind the scenes of the film itself. So it was based on a 1922 short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald, who famously made The Great Gatsby, Beautiful and the Damned as well. So a very established American author. Ran through a few different directors. It went through an awful lot of directors. I'm wondering if anyone at home knows how many different people have been attached to this film at various different points. So the first person who got attached to it was Frank Oz, with Martin Short playing the title character of Benjamin Button, which would be very interesting. I've been watching through Only Murders in the Building recently, and to see Martin Short and think about him in that role, I can't see it. I just can't see it. It would be too wacky, too out there, especially with Frank Oz directing. I really don't know where I put that. Then one which I saw, which really perked my interest, and I like this film. I really like this film. I really do like this film. But this I would want to see, and it's Spielberg with Tom Cruise as Benjamin Button. I mean, Spielberg's very good with these kind of films. In fact, one of the comparisons I'm going to make to this film was The Fabelmans. I got a very Fabelmans-y vibe. I know this film came first, but at least the storytelling, the way it's kind of progressed throughout the film and everything like that, it feels like a similar kind of, you're taking on almost a Spielberg-esque adventure in this film just through the life of one man. So I definitely feel like Spielberg would have done a very good job with this, and Tom Cruise actually as an actor. I could definitely see him as Benjamin Button. I mean, the man doesn't age, so you could just, throw him into the film now and he'd still be the same character. You could de-age him easily and have him, playing this role. I could absolutely see it. After that, the film was picked up by Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall for the rights to it. And since then, they've had Ron Howard attached to it. They've had John Travolta, Eric Roth, who ended up writing for it. Gary Ross, and even Charlie Kaufman, who threw his hat into the ring, until Fincher was brought into negotiations back in 2004. So this film was on his radar for a little while, 4 years before the film was actually released. So there was a bit of time, and in that time, he obviously filmed Zodiac as well, which is a long film in itself, and then this film as well. As far as kind of the other production things that were interesting, I couldn't actually find anything anywhere online to say that there was any ridiculously long takes or anything like that. I assume that there was. I know that Zodiac was where people started to realize kind of the kind of inch perfect details and stuff like that. But I tried doing a bit of research in this film to try and find those things, and couldn't see anything standing out. I even typed in David Fincher stories, set of Benjamin Button, and nothing really stood out. Maybe there's some comments from the actors out there. I know that filming took place over quite a long amount of time. It was, principal shooting started in Louisiana, and then it moved over to Los Angeles. But they used a technology in this film, and this I think is going to be kind of one of the major talking points for this. They used a technology called Mova Contour, which I need to refresh for before I start talking about. So Mova Contour was used for the different CGI ages of Benjamin Button during the film. It was created for the film. It was the first film to use it, and it's also listed down as the second film to actually have de-aging in the film, behind X-Men The Last Stand back in 2006. Since then, this kind of technology of kind of using facial recognition and de-aging the character has been used for the Hulk, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avengers films. So it was used kind of, in various different things for various different characters along a lot of films since then, which is very interesting. At the time, I remember there being Oscar buzz about the fact they were able to de-age the character of Benjamin Button and make him look younger. I thought, and at the time, I think I was like, wow, that's really, really cool. And then it got into the stage where maybe 3-4 years after the film was out, I saw a video on it and I went, wow, that looks terrible. That looks really, really bad. Like it was obviously the kind of the start of them using this de-aging technology. And I looked at it and went, yikes, that has not aged well at all. That really hasn't. But since then, coming back to this film, and I want to talk about a bit of the kind of the production and what it kind of looks like to me now, I didn't mind it at all. I know it's for the visual use of the film. It doesn't look as bad as, say, for example, The Flash from this year, 2023. So you can't really say it's bad. It's at the birth of its technology, and for the film that it's in, it works. It really does work. You can see that it has similar kind of expression, and it has, it's his face but on like an older body, and you can kind of work it out from there. It does enough to make it believable without taking you out of the film. I thought going into it, that was the one thing that was going to get me. It was going to be, the meandering, it's just a man who just does everything in his life. It's like a Forrest Gump-esque film. And it's going to have some really weird CGI in there as well. But no, it really holds up. It really does. And I guess this is now the second time I'm going to be saying to this, people need to revisit this film. I really enjoyed this film. George really enjoyed this film. We had the discussion this morning as of recording this video, where I mentioned to Jack and Tom on our Movie Monthly show, I'm going to be rewatching Benjamin Button. I'm going to be solo reviewing it. And Tom said that he wasn't sure about Benjamin Button. He thinks that if he watched it again, it would go down in his kind of rating of the film. But I implore people to go and watch it. I think it is a fantastic film. I think it really, really is. And as far as significant traits, similar things that you see from him, you've got your standard kind of use of color palettes and various different things in various different areas. Dark scenes, especially kind of the night war scene is the one that gets me in any of the scenes in Russia. The kind of intimate moments and stuff like that. We don't get many impossible shots in this film, but this definitely feels like he's taken inspiration from Spielberg. It definitely feels like he's taken inspiration from films like Forrest Gump, in the way that he's told the story, the way he's been able to frame the film, the way he's been able to put a point across, like the point of the film. There's one scene in particular with Cate Blanchett dancing on the podium in the park, which immediately I was like, Fableman straight away, like a very, very similar like scene, and to have those two films so far apart and everything like that, it kind of gave me the same emotions from the scene. And it's really fascinating that he made this film coming off the back of Zodiac, which I once again want to say is a very Finchery film. It's a thriller. It's dark. It's, you know, it goes into kind of murders. It's got those different color palettes. It has everything that you'd expect from it, like time lapses, long shots, whatever. This film doesn't really have time lapses. It just kind of passes with time throughout the film. It's really interesting as well because it's told from a different story perspective to what he's done before. This is a film within a film kind of thing, or a story within a film, where it's set initially throughout Hurricane Katrina, with the older character of Daisy kind of telling her daughter during the storm, while she's kind of, you know, she's kind of on her deathbed, that yeah, tell me the story of Benjamin Button. And even the film starts with a very poignant scene at the very, very start, talking about a clock built by a blind man who puts it up in a train station, and the clock ticks backwards to count back the days of these soldiers dying in World War One. And that message throughout the film really plays out throughout the entire film, of kind of, you know, taking back time and everything like that. I do want to try and I'm going to be scrolling through for just a second whilst I'm talking to try and find one of my favorite quotes from the film, which is to do with death, and it's to do with the film in itself. And it is, you can be as mad as a mad dog at the way things went. You could swear, curse the fates, but when it comes to the end, you have to let go. And that line's repeated a few times throughout the film. And that is the entire message of the film. You can wait, you could be angry because it's over, but realistically, you had your time, you need to leave now. And it kind of plays out in that way of kind of two star-crossed lovers, but also time-crossed lovers, kind of two kind of relationships going in different trajectories, one starting at old, one starting at young, and then them splitting across the middle, the perfect moment where they can be together, the perfect moment they can make a life for each other before they kind of disappear off in their separate ways and go on with their life. It's really beautifully put throughout the film, and I think the story is a real strong point of this, taken from a short story as well to turn into a full feature-length film and tell the life of a man who lived 1,000 lives, and yet, you know, the one key point of all of the adventures he went on, whether it was going to Moscow, and meeting Tilda Swinton's character of Elizabeth Abbott, or whether it was going to war, or whether it was, you know, coming back and helping out at the old people's home, or whether it was, you know, the various different things he did throughout his life, the one thing he comes back to, the one thing he cares about, is his love for Daisy, that he's kind of almost traveled across time throughout his life to be able to meet up at the right moment and to be able to have that perfect relationship. It's fascinating. It really is. And it really struck me. Like, I didn't think I would be at this kind of state. Watching the film, I was almost in tears. Not quite fully in tears, but I was almost in tears going through the film. It really has quite a beautiful message throughout it. It has a really nice love story at the center of it. And to go along with that, some stunning performances, some really good performances. So first of all, a multiple-time collaborator, Brad Pitt, who I want to add as well, had collaborated with most of the people on this film already going into it. So I've seen online before that they said Cate Blanchett in Babel, or Babel, Inarritu's 2006 film. You had Jason Fleming, who he'd acted on in Snatch, being with him on Snatch, and Tilda Swinton was also on another project with him. So most of the key players in the film, most of the key characters in the film, he had previous experience with, and that obviously helps because the relationships they build up on screen were amazing. They were really, really well put together. especially that central core relationship with himself and Cate Blanchett's character of Daisy. You can really see how they're at different points in their lives and how one life can go up and the other life can go down, and somehow they meet in the middle throughout the various different trials and tribulations they both go through. Like I said before, like his character lives 1,000 lives, and her life is basically 2 lives. It's split into 2. It's before she gets injured and after she gets injured, before she goes into the ballet and after she leaves the ballet. It's really well put together and well woven that you're able to keep kind of tabs on both of their lives as it goes along, and how things work out in the end. Especially kind of getting towards the end, I really enjoyed the scenes where it wasn't Brad Pitt. In fact, it was a younger actor playing the younger role, and she still cared for him even when he was a child, basically, again. And she was there for him all the way until his end. I find that really, really fascinating. I really, really love that, and it's heartbreaking to watch. It's not a happy film. It's not even a bittersweet film. It says drama, fantasy, romance. Realistically, it's drama, fantasy, tragedy, or drama, romance, tragedy. It's heartbreaking to watch. And yeah, once again, 3rd time saying it, I recommend this film. I really recommend this film. And you should go and watch it. And if you have watched it, you should be gushing in the comments about how much you enjoyed it on a second viewing, like I am. And like I said, I've only watched this twice now. So you can tell kind of from my voice and kind of the way I'm talking about this film. I really wish we had more people on for this discussion, because I think it would be a fascinating discussion. I would love to hear what other people's opinions were on this film, because I went from down here the first time watching it all the way up here on the second time of watching it. As far as the other characters, so like I already said, Cate Blanchett played a fantastic role. She always does in these kind of films. We have the Oscar-nominated performance from Tayte P. Henson playing Queenie, who I thought was a fascinating character throughout most of the film. She's in there. She's the heart and soul of the first half of the film. Really enjoyed kind of her energy that she brought to the screen. She's met alongside Mahershala Ali in the same kind of time span, and both of those two really do bring love into Benjamin Button's life at the start, and the actors and characters that they're made at the very start set the basis for the life he's going to go and lead. So I'm really, really happy with that. Same with the other character who had a massive influence on him in his young time, which was Thomas Button, played by Jason Fleming. I wasn't expecting to see Jason Fleming playing a character with an American accent, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. I do like his performances and other things in other films. I'm a big Primeval fan, so to see him on screen is, it's always going to be fun, and it's always going to kind of give me those kind of, oh, yes, it's him feelings and stuff like that. But he actually played the role really nice of a character who is put in a harsh situation, wants to be distant, but also wants to be loving at the same time. So it's a good character for him. And also, of course, Tilda Swinton as well, playing Elizabeth Abbott, who actually I'm going to actually search up. Is Elizabeth Abbott an actual person? Elizabeth Abbott, swimmer. Interesting. Let me have a look. Yeah, apparently she may have been in the Curious Space Room. There we go. I did wonder whether she was an actual. Oh no, Liz Abbott, star member of Crusader Women's Swimming and Diving Team. Yeah, no, she was an actual swimmer. Interesting. Very interesting that she was possibly an actual person. Yeah, she actually did it. That's amazing. That's cool that they were able to weave that into a film like that. But yes, moving on to the next part, music of the film. The music of the film, it hit me in certain parts. It's one of those scores where it kind of plays in the background and you kind of pick up on it a few times. You don't pick up on it on other times. A lot of the dance scenes, or a lot of the scenes where there's narration over the top, because this film has narration. Of course, it's, the older Daisy telling the story of kind of the journal of Benjamin Button and what he kept in the journal. And, he's narrating over the top, and there's letters exchanged and everything like that. So the music just kind of goes along. I wouldn't say it was like a phenomenal soundtrack. I mean, Alexandre Desplat, or Desplat, or Desplay, or however you pronounce it, he's worked on various different films before. He's worked with Wes Anderson. I've also seen he's worked a lot with Roman Polanski, so you can take it where you want it with that one. But no, I think he did a fine job with this. It's not the kind of soundtrack where I'm going to be rushing and putting it on my movie scores playlist. Maybe one or two that I go back to, but apart from that, it's nothing too much. So I've been rambling now for 25 odd minutes on this film and gushing over how good it is. Let's talk about the legacy of the film, because currently it sits at a 7.8 on IMDb, which I want to say is one of the highest ratings out of all of Fincher's films. It's got a good rating across the board. I want to say it had a better rating than The Social Network, or it had a better rating than Zodiac on Letterboxd as well. I will have to check that afterwards. But it's kind of received in a way that people remember it, but don't really have fond memories of it, if that makes sense. It's one of those films where you hear about it once in every blue moon. It's like I always go back to Joy, the film with Jennifer Lawrence, where it was nominated for an Oscar. Everyone goes, was it nominated for an Oscar? I remember that film. Why do I remember that film? Where have I heard that film from? No one really goes back to it, but it's a decent film, So this is that film where people don't really remember it. I'm absolutely curious as to what it was up against in the awards, because it was nominated for a lot of awards. Oh, there we go. Ooh, interesting. I think it should have won now. I've seen that. That's very interesting. So let's talk about the box office. Box office on release was $335 million against a $167 million budget. Oscars, it was nominated for 13 Oscars, career high. Absolute career high. Was easily the most nominated of the year that it was released. As far as Best Picture was concerned, it was up against The Reader, which I don't really hear many people talking about. Milk, which is a decent film, I don't really hear much people talking about. Frost Nixon, which is a film that I don't really hear many people talking about. And Slumdog Millionaire, which is a good film, but is it the best picture? Like, when you look at it, Benjamin Button should have won Best Picture this year. And I find that fascinating that it should have won Best Picture this year, although it was the same year as The Dark Knight. So, if that gets nominated, then it's very interesting. Apart from that, other than that, The Wrestler was on that year. This film only won 3 awards. It only won 3 awards in total. It didn't win for adapted screenplay. It didn't win for direction. It didn't win. I could say so many different things it didn't win for. I'm actually going to read out what it was nominated for, because this is absolutely fascinating. Because there are so many things. Here we go. List of 13. Here we go. So, Best Picture nominated. Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role nominated. Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role nominated for Taraji P. Henson. Best Achievement in Directing nominated. Best Writing Adapted Screenplay nominated. Best Achievement in Cinematography nominated. Best Achievement in Film Editing nominated. Best Achievement in Art Direction, it won that one. Best Achievement in Costume Design, it did not win that one. It was nominated. Best Achievement in Makeup, it won that one. Of course it won that one. Best Achievement in Music written for motion picture, nominated, didn't win. Best Achievement in Sound Mixing, nominated, did not win. And finally, Best Achievement in Visual Effects, nominated and won. It could have cleaned up this year. It really could have cleaned up this year. I think, as far as the screenplay is concerned, it was very strong. I think it should have won. Best Picture out of those films, I think it's the best one there in retrospect. I feel like the fact that Cate Blanchett wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Act or Best Actress is fascinating as well, seeing as she has such a big part of the film. She wasn't given the nomination. Direction went to Danny Boyle in the end. I don't know about that. There's so many things, that you look at, all of the things in total. Cinematography, Slumdog Millionaire, okay, fine, that film was pretty beautiful. You're looking down the list and you're probably thinking, well, The Duchess won Costume Design. Yeah, I'm having a look now. Music, Slumdog Millionaire won, that's fine, it's got music in it. Sound Mixing, Slumdog Millionaire won, interesting. That was That's the biggest one. That was up against The Dark Knight and Wall-E, and they didn't win sound mixing. I just want to point that out. Same with sound editing. Iron Man was in there, Wall-E was in there, Dark Knight won that one. Visual effects, yeah, it won over Dark Knight and Iron Man. Interesting. It's a fascinating one. And I've wanted to do this as a series for a while now, recasting the votes for the Oscars of various different years. This one would be very interesting. I would recast my votes very differently. How is it perceived today? Like I said, it's it won films. It was nominated a lot, but I feel like it'd be perceived better if it won Best Picture. An opinion change over time, absolutely. As far as my favorite scenes are concerned, I'd already mentioned the clock scene at the start. I know it doesn't involve any of the characters, but I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the direction of the scene of the lead up to the car crash, which is very unusual, but it's done in a very different storytelling style. It's not factual. It's not factual as it's gone all the way throughout the film. It suddenly goes, if this happened, if this happened, if this happened, if this happened, this wouldn't have happened. But this happened, this happened, this happened. And the way it's done in a sequence of like a montage is very well put together, very well edited, very well filmed. I also really enjoy the scene of them dancing. I really enjoy just the scenes of them together, the scenes of the two characters, Daisy and Benjamin, together. I really enjoyed. I really liked the relationship that it built. And as it gets towards the end, I also enjoyed kind of the scenes where she sits by his side. It's a fantastic film. It's a really, really good film. And even throughout this review, I've kind of come to appreciate it even more. And I really do want to watch it again, which I don't usually say about films that are this old or this long, almost 3 hours long. And I'm immediately saying like, yeah, I'd happily go back to this film very soon and go watch it again because I really enjoyed it. I want to kind of pick up on more things in the film. I want to enjoy kind of what happens on screen again. I want to take it all in. So I'll probably watch this probably within the next year again. Like I may even watch it sooner than that. It's fantastic, and I think everyone should give it a fair chance. That's my kind of thoughts and opinions. I've been rambling for 30 minutes about a film that everyone should go watch by now. But it is just a stop off in our retrospective. We still have The Social Network, Girl, the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, and Mank to come as we head into the home stretch coming up towards The Killer. And I want to add at this point, past the 16th or the 10th, we would have seen The Killer. In fact, by the time this video is out, we may have seen The Killer. So we've got loads of Fincher stuff coming up. Please keep an eye on those. And we'll be keeping the reviews coming out once a week, same time, every single time. I want to hear your thoughts on this film. I want to hear your thoughts on what you think about Benjamin Button. Do you think it was robbed of Best Picture? Genuinely. I'm starting to think that now that I've seen the nominees for that year. It's a brilliant film. Dare I say it was the best film of the nominees. I know The Dark Knight realistically has been kind of elevated above those films, but do you think this film was treated unfairly at the time? Do you think this film was treated unfairly kind of nowadays? Do you have the same opinion as me? Have you not seen it in a while and you go, I'm not sure about it? Hopefully this review has convinced you of that. But please go and start a conversation in the comments. Please like the video, share the video. You know, we love to start a conversation on this channel, so please go and do that. Apart from that, go and follow us on our socials. So at cinema_savvy on various different websites, or just type in Cinema Savvy into Facebook. All of the links, by the way, are in the description, or probably scrolling down at the bottom of the screen right now to get access to them via our Linktree link, which takes you to all the websites, including our Instagram. And also go and pick up some merch from our store. Go and pick up some Cinema Savvy merch and help support the channel. And just help us continue to create these videos and create this content because we love doing it. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me flying solo on this Curious Case of Benjamin Button review. We'll hope to see you on the next video, whether that is, you know, another video on the channel or whether it is part of our David Fincher retrospective. Thank you and goodbye.